Today in our culture, marriage is becoming a hotly debated term. Many people instinctively sense and understand that marriage means the faithful, loving and life-giving union of a man and a woman, but are unsure how to reconcile this truth with the growing push for marriage to be redefined to include two persons in a same-sex relationship. Why shouldn't the definition of marriage be changed? To answer this question, we need to know, what is marriage? Marriage is a natural institution where a man and a woman give themselves to each other exclusively for life in a sexual relationship that is designed for procreation. Marriage is different and distinguished from other sexual or caring relationships because of its permanence, its natural orientation to life, and the way it brings together and expresses the fullness of humanity in the gift of male and female. Marriage has always been traditionally understood and actually lived as the complementary love between a man and a woman that is open to the gift of children. But today, many people are confused about why marriage can't be possible between two persons of the same sex. This confusion in our society has stemmed from a deep loss of our collective sense of the true meaning of human sexuality. The Catholic Church teaches that man and woman are equal, but they are different from each other and created for each other. This complementarity, including our sexual differences, draws man and woman together in a mutually loving union that accepts the gift of the other and is open to the gift of children. Married couples who are infertile are still truly married because their lovemaking is naturally designed to accept the gift of each other's bodies and naturally designed to create a new human life. Whether or not their love is blessed with a child, each and every marriage of a man and a woman bears this meaning. Although persons in a same-sex relationship may truly care for one another, their sexual relationship is not capable of accepting the gift of each other's bodies or capable of creating new life. Their sexual acts are contrary to the dignity of the human body and the meaning of human sexuality. Thus, same-sex relationships have a fundamentally different meaning from marriage. Recognising and upholding the fact that marriage is inherently a relationship between man and woman is not unjust or discriminatory to same-sex couples. Justice, in fact, requires government and society to recognise and respect this difference. The deliberate ignoring or trivialising of essential differences between relationships is a deep injustice to everyone, especially to children. Every child is a gift from God and deserves our care and protection. The stable, loving relationship of a mother and father, found only in marriage, provides the ideal conditions for nurturing children. Through marriage, children are able to grow up knowing that they were created through an act of intimate love and knowing that their mother and father have committed to each other for life. Through marriage, parents are able to give children the distinctive and priceless experiences of being mothered and fathered, and to witness to them on a daily basis the equal dignity, worth, beauty and value of men and women. Sadly, some marriages break down and we experience a great sense of loss and sorrow when this happens. Single parents do a heroic job loving and raising their children on their own, but almost always they feel the loss of the other parent and hope that their own children will one day be able to have a family within a faithful, loving marriage. Now, some people say, why will changing the definition of marriage affect you or your marriage, or affect marriage in general? Men and women will still get married. The reality is that changing the definition of marriage to remove the element of male and female will profoundly change us as a culture. Supporting marriage is a social rather than an individual matter. Because human beings are social by our very nature, in this sense it is not possible for marriage to be practiced by an individual. Rather, marriage requires a culture which recognises and supports it through its attitudes and through the law. Changing the definition of marriage constitutes a rejection of what is unique and beautiful about the gift of a woman and the gift of a man. Men and women are created with a purpose and a specific and loving design, and we are called to uphold this truth as much as we can, despite our physical, emotional, sexual and spiritual brokenness. Saying that a man and a woman are optional for marriage, that only one sex is needed for a marriage, profoundly demeans the value of both men and women, and trivialises the meaning and dignity of motherhood and fatherhood. Allowing two men or two women to marry will change the definition of marriage from a life-giving and sexually complementary union to any romantic or caring relationship between two people, where there is no true communion of persons or capacity to create life. It will entrench in a public way the separation of sex from babies and marriage from children. It will say that marriage is an instrument of self-fulfilment rather than self-giving. This change will deeply affect the expectations and hopes of young people for their own marriages. Men and women will always aspire to marry because this desire is deep within the human person, found in their very makeup as male or female. But it will deeply affect young people to grow up in a culture which says that marriage is no longer about giving yourself unconditionally to another and having children together. The cultural confusion about the true meaning of marriage will make it ever harder for them to attain what they long for. Today, many relationships end because one partner is ready for and wants children and the other is not. The denial of the intrinsic life-giving meaning of sexuality, which is already so widespread through the culture through the normalisation of contraception, will become even more entrenched if same-sex marriage is legalised. This deep loss of the significance of children as the natural fruit of sexual love will lead more and more to the treating of children as products rather than persons. Children, once seen and treated as a gift, will be seen more and more as products to be manufactured through the use of donor sperm, eggs or surrogacy for whoever may want a child for whatever reason. The right of the child to know and be loved by their natural parents and to experience the different but equally needed love and care of a father and a mother will be more and more dismissed and trivialised. Sadly, the concept of same-sex marriage is ultimately a rejection of the gift of children and a rejection of the goodness and beauty of our sexual embodiment as male and female. There are many good people who support same-sex marriage in good faith, who believe they are expanding the definition of marriage. However, tragically, they do not realise how much of the truth about marriage they are rejecting in trying to equate same-sex relationships with marriage. Upholding marriage between a man and a woman is not a judgment or condemnation of persons who are same-sex attracted. The Church teaches that every person in this situation deserves our love, compassion and support, and offers them encouragement and pastoral support to live a chaste and fulfilling life. The Church is clear that every sign of unjust discrimination against them must be rejected. But it is not loving or just to pretend that marriage is somehow something other than what it is. Every person deserves the truth, and true relationships must always be based on honesty. Pope Benedict XVI has reminded us that marriage between a man and a woman is a fundamental element of the common patrimony of humanity, our most precious heritage as human beings. In the Holy Father's words, we, the Church, have a positive idea to offer, that man and woman are made for each other, that marriage develops, first of all, as a joyful and blessing-filled encounter between a man and a woman, and then the family, which guarantees continuity among generations, and through which generations are reconciled to each other, and even cultures can meet.